guys, it's Dog Vinyl again. How you doing? This is some good stuff here. How you guys doing today? So I thought I'd go over something a little different. Hopefully you guys liked the video, get involved with some commentary. I took a week off last week, as you know, so I thought I'd get back with something a little different. It seems like you guys are really interested in collections and pressings and stuff. So I thought I was going to go over that today. A bunch of different music here, different pressings and stuff. Some stuff in my own collection and stuff. So I thought I'd talk about first pressings, UK pressings, mobile fidelity pressings, and analog productions, and also mono versus stereo. A couple of different things, mostly rock and roll, but some jazz thrown in here too. I'm going to use some examples I have here about that. But before I get started, I'd like to see some more thumbs up, some guys getting involved. Subscriptions would be great. If people could subscribe, let me know what's going on. If you like the content, that'd be great. Also, let me know what you'd like to see. I have some bands lined up for the next couple of weeks. I have The Who, The Tubes, a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Bands in focus. I got some drummers. I'm going to do a pedigree band of Deep Purple, Whitesnake, and Rainbow. Got a whole bunch of different things going. But it's just something you guys want to see directly, let me know. See if, I have the collection here. We'll talk about it. So before we go, let's get started. All right, pressings. I'm going to start with my favorite band, Emerson, Palmer. It's easy. By the way, that's another band I have to do. But yeah. All right, perfect example, Emerson, Palmer pressings I have right here. I have two pressings right here. One is a mobile fidelity, as you can see right here. Master. These are very, very expensive, as you know, and they cut from the original analog tapes. These are 33. They also can come in 45 RPM and 2 albums. So you have 2 vinyl discs covering the music of one album. Because of 45, you can put less music on the album, obviously. So, all right, so let's look a little bit at this. These are highly collectible, obviously. They have a number on them and all this other stuff. And then this is this is probably about 10, 15 years old. They're on a heavy set vinyl, usually 200 gram, 180. The label is usually a white label, as you can see here. It's a little bit different. Okay, so the sound quality is there. I've done an A-B comparison between this and the other copy I have. I don't have a US pressing, but I do have a first UK pressing, which is really, really nice. This is the original 1971 release of Tarkus, and this, of course, is on Island, which you'll see right here, which was the original label for this album when it was released in 1971. As you can see, early 72, that's Island label. So this is the original vinyl from that time period. Now, my theory on a lot of things is that if you can, and it's not prohibitively expensive, I think it's always best to get the original, okay? And the reason for that is, hold on. A little rum, good stuff. The reason for that is that it's closest to the actual recording of the music, and this was recorded, and so you know it's going to be analog because digital wasn't really a format that was being used in 1971. It wasn't even invented yet. So in that case, you know that it's probably not a digital transfer, which a lot of newer albums can be. So if you can get the original pressing, I highly recommend that you always get the original pressing of the album. Okay. Now, some albums are exorbitantly expensive. First UK pressing of this album would probably run you anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500 or more if you could find a good copy. And of course, what I'm talking about is Dark Side of the Moon. Now, this is a repress I got over at Max J Records a couple of years ago. Great album, as you can see here. It's actually, this is cool because it gives you all the material that originally came with the album. So it's a really very, very good reproduction with the posters, and I'm not gonna pull them all out, but you can see, and the little things and everything. So, and this is drawn from the analog recording. So this was remastered and from the analog tapes. And I think this was like about $28 or $29. I don't know. It's a pretty good recording. Now, there's all kinds of debate. You've probably seen, there's a whole show on all the different pressings of Dark Side of the Moon. You can go insane. For my ears and for my system that I'm using over here, which is a dual 1229 turntable, a Denon integrated power amp, and a pair of Snell acoustic speakers, works fine for me. This is a very, very good recording. I think Max J. John still has these over at Max J. I think you can still get some. So again, albums like this that are very, very rare to get the original, then I highly recommend getting it. That in that case is prohibitively expensive. Now, other albums like Santana's first album. their first album came out in 1969. This is a first release. I got it for a pretty good price. It's a little older. You can see there's some fading here and everything, whatever. I'm not that big of a collector as long as the jacket's intact. I'm more interested in this. This is a Columbia 2i, as you can see. Great, great album. This is, of course, Santana's first album. We need to really talk about the material. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. This is a nice thick 140-gram album from that time period. Very well done. Now, this has been repressed a million times, as you know. So, obviously, this is going to be closest to the analog reproduction. Now, this has been recently redone on MoFi and a couple of others, and it's expensive. It's $50, $60, $70. If you can even find it, it's probably already out of print, and now it's eBay prices over $100. So, to me, this was economical. I didn't pay that much. I think I paid about $15 for this. Got this at a swap meet or something. So to me, this was a good investment, and it's a good sounding record. It's got a couple here and there, but nothing, a little snap, crackle, pop. But hey, we're vinyl guys. We expect a little snap, crackle, and pop. It's not a CD. So, okay, so that's another one. Now, other things I was talking about is, of course, the specific labels that people like to collect. Now, one of them that is good as a first pressing, too, would be, of course, we're dealing with Black Sabbath, and this, of course, is a Vertigo. And the Vertigo label release. And they recently reproduced some of their others in reissues, which are pretty good. But to be fair, Black Sabbath was released in Vertigo in Europe and in UK, and it was released on Warner Brothers United States, a green label first, and then it went to the Palm Trees later on. But the Vertigo release is, of course, the one that everybody wants. The first Vertigo release. The second one had kind of a different styles, but the first Vertigo release looks like that. Great album, but can be very, very expensive. For obvious reasons. And one of the reasons for it is that, of course, it's Black Sabbath. And this album has increased in price. I got this, I believe, on eBay probably 4 or 5 years ago for about $40, $45. Now I've seen it go for over $100 because it is a UK Vertigo pressing. So, yeah, that is a good example of let's get a newer pressing, because I wasn't able to get their first album, but it's on Vertigo too. But this is a repress of the first Black Sabbath album. This one was like $29, $30, much more economical to get. Again, different styles. They're very, very similar. It's pressed the same way. So that's a perfect example of it. Sometimes pressings can be different, which I've probably mentioned in the past, like these two. This is Rubber Soul. This is the UK pressing, and this is the US pressing. I have both the mono and the stereo, which is kind of something interesting. I mean, I just had it because I have my mother's old one. Now, with this, they're two different albums completely, because the track listing is completely different. Drive My Car is on this. Now, if I pull this one out here and look at the track listings, this does I've Just Seen a Face, and then Norwegian Wood does the same, it's the same, and then Michelle. Then on side 2, they have What Goes On, and this one has It's Only Love. And then It's Only Love isn't on this. So you have 2 or 3 different songs that aren't on the 2 different releases. This one was released on Parlophone. This is the original UK. This is another expensive album that I got when I was in Great Britain a while ago. This is a Parlophone, and this isn't the absolute first pressing of this album. I think it's a second or third, but it's an early pressing, so it's worth some money. But you can see it's on the original Parlophone. You also can tell by the sleeve. The sleeve is different. It's a glossy sleeve I kind of went over before. So, again, collectibles to a certain degree. In this particular case, I got it. I bit the bullet and spent some money on this one. I think I spent about $50 on it. I think it's worth a couple $100 now. But I did because I wanted the different track releases, and I liked early Beatles. This is my favorite Beatles album, by the way, so that was another probably reason. But I like to have all the versions of the Beatles albums, and I have the UK. I have the stereo version that was originally my mother's, and then I have a mono version that I got over at John's. Again, see, you can see the difference in the album covers are a little bit different. See the lining and stuff, so that's cool too. So again, collectible, but for me it's more music because there were 2 different releases, and a lot of the early Beatles stuff, they are 2 different releases. There's a US release and there is a UK release, all the way until I think Sgt. Pepper's, I think, is the first album that is the same tracks, because I believe Revolver is 2 separate ones too. Yeah, there is 2 different recordings. Now, sound quality, I'm going to pull out this one, Boston. This is Boston's first album. This one's kind of going up in price, which is interesting because I know now they're going to be re-releasing it. I think Analog's Production's going to be doing a nice 33, 180, 200 gram version of this. This is the original Epic. This is the original Epic, the orange label Epic. This is the closest you're going to get to the 1976 recording. This album, as you could imagine, has been repressed hundreds of times. Of course, it was a big hit. It went platinum, 10 times or something like that. So it is a really, really, really popular album. So in that particular case, if you can, without being prohibitively expensive, get one of the early versions, then that's the way to go. Personally, with me, I lucked out. This is going up, but it's a little bit heavier. It's just a better recording, all said and done. So that's pretty important. Now, the other two I have here are the two Cars recordings, which I have both the original first pressings, and just like ELP, another one of my favorite bands, I also have the Mobile Fidelity, which I got from John recently. This is the Mobile Fidelity pressing, and then this is the original pressing. As you can see, this is on Electra Red. This one's actually gone up in some price. It wasn't that expensive, but now it is, and this is in great shape. Lucked out. And then, of course, these go out of print like weekly. Again, was there a sound difference? They're a little different. I can't really say which one I like better. I'm glad I have both of them. I'll say that again. And then I have this. Of course, I have Heartbreak City. I only have it on this one. I didn't bother getting the regular. I have to say I like both of them. If I had to say, I kind of think I like the original pressing better, but it might just be psychological. I don't know. I feel like it's like warmer, maybe. It's like I feel that a lot of the original pressing's a little bit warmer, but I don't know. Maybe it's just, of course, they are remastering it. When MoFi does it, that means it's going through a mastering process again. Granted, they are cutting it from the analog tapes, but it's still being remastered. So it depends on if you like the original mastering. I mean, if your ear is that, distinct to figure that out. Then there's other ones like jazz. Like John Coltrane Blue Train. This is Jazz Images. This is pretty good. There's been quite a few recently of this. The one to get of this is the Analog Productions, which is out of print and very expensive. It's about $100 now if you can get Blue Train on that. This is a good one. This is Jazz Images. They do a pretty good job. Different cover. And then I believe Blue Note is going to be re-releasing this too. So the original first pressing in mono of this is hundreds of dollars in good shape. So this sounds really good on my system. I like the sound of this. It's got a good jazz quality warmth to it. They did a pretty good job. Is it the best? I don't know. There's debates on this Hoffman websites and the various, Kevin Gray and all the different people that are into all this. And, well, this one sounds bad. That's junk. This is terrible. It's like, to me, I don't want to get too involved in that unless there's a distinct, obvious difference between the recordings. And this one's pretty good. And this was affordable. This was like $21, $19, $20, something like that. So this was affordable for my purposes. And I love John Coltrane. That's true. But, I just can't go crazy spending the money. Now, another band that I did that's also fun to do is sometimes you want to get the purple vinyls of Deep Purple Stormbringer. Of course, you see I like all kinds of music. This is a great album. It's on purple vinyl. Do you see the purple? I don't know if you can see that. Let me pull it out of here because I don't know if you can see it, but the vinyl's purple. See, that's kind of cool. Deep Purple, get it? Cool. This is a great album. The recording's really good. They did a good job. Before we get into anything, let's dispel the imagery. A lot of people think that colored vinyl is lower sound quality than black vinyl, and that's a bunch of bull. That's crap because all vinyl's colored because even black vinyl has color in it. So unless it's like glow in the dark or something crazy like that, or picture disc, which there used to be like kind of an imprint on it, there is no difference in quality between colored vinyl and vinyl. As long as it's really more important who's doing the mastering and what are the source materials. And again, these are from the original source materials. They did a good job. This is Rhino. Rhino is usually pretty good. If you see Rhino, they usually do a pretty good job on a lot of their stuff. They have pretty good. Kevin Gray's done work for Rhino and Steve Hoffman and others. So there's always been some good people that know what they're doing with these. So this is a good pressing. Plus it's purple, so it's kind of fun. You know what I mean? Now another band I did before, Cream. Now there is a difference. This one is Cream's first album, and this is the mono version, Atco mono version. This is more expensive than the stereo version of the same era pressing. And the reason for it is that the sound quality on this one is much better. And that may be due to the fact in 1967, a lot of the early stereo recordings were mono, but then they were put through a stereo channel. So really the original recording was in mono. So then if you really want an original sound, like the original Doors, the early Doors albums, the first 2-3 Doors albums, everybody wants the mono, it's worth more money because of the sound quality. And you're getting closer to the source material in which it was recorded. And that's really the end result when you're talking about vinyl. Or any recording material for that matter. But this is really, really good. There is a distinct difference between that one and the other one. What else do I have? There's a couple others. Oh, here's a Thelonious Monk Crisscross. This is an original. This I lucked out on. I got a pretty good price on this. This is a great album. This is on the original Columbia 2i when it was recorded, as you can see right here. And this one's in pretty good shape. Not bad. It's got a little coloring and stuff like that. I mean, if you're an absolute collector, it's worth a little bit of money, not a ton. But if I can get the original, I like it because it's kind of like a historical artifact. And that's another thing about albums. I'm going to talk a little bit about the end about why vinyl's made such a resurgence and why people like it. Is it a better medium? Technically, it's not. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But we'll talk about why it's popular. So Thelonious Monk, this is a great, great album. Crisscross, classic jazz on the classic Columbia too. So you really can't go wrong with that. Again, very, very good. Another album that's interesting, Van Morrison's first single album. This is called Blowing Your Mind. Very good. This is on the original Bang. Really interesting label, as you can see right here. This is a very, very good one. This, of course, has Brown Eyed Girl on it. This is the original pressing. So this one's gone up in value, too, because of the sound quality. That's really, really good. But the problem with this one, it's hard to get one that does not have a lot of background music. It's really hard to really deeply clean it. So if they offer this on a MoFi or a New Analogs production, I'd jump on it because this is going up in value just because of its rarity. But the sound quality is good, but to get a good, clean copy is really, really hard to find. So this would be a good candidate for a repress, Analog Productions, MoFi, whatever. But great, great, great album. What else do I have? A couple others I wanted to show you. Oh, yeah. There's Jay Giles' second album, The Morning After. I got this on original master recording. Now, this, wow, I was impressed because I had an old one of that. I have to give it to my son. It was okay. It was really scratchy, and it was a decent copy, but, man, did they clean it up. This sounds amazing. This is like, wow, I never heard Jay Giles sound so good, but this is a very, very good album. Highly recommend that because I love early Jay Giles. Great, great, great stuff. And another album I wanted to talk about a little bit about that's rose and up in rarity is the Billy Joel's first album, Cold Spring Harbor. This is a very interesting album because there's actually counterfeits of it. And the album's not worth that much. It's maybe like $50, $60 album, but I mean, they make counterfeits of it? I don't know, it's weird. You should be able to, this is the original album. You can tell by the fold. You can tell by the Family Productions label and the way it sits. This doesn't have the inner sleeve, though. I think it's just a plain inner sleeve anyways. But you can tell by the way the photograph was done. This is all one piece, which originally was. The other one was pasted on, so I guess the fake one was pasted on. I don't know, but I know there's a real one. And you can read the lettering on the bottles right here, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of a cool thing. The other thing that's interesting about this album, it's cool. The recording's pretty decent. Is the label, of course. This is when he was on Family Productions. His first couple of albums with this done this way. Really, really good. This one's in pretty good shape. This is a pretty good example of this album. I'd say I lucked out to get it because they're getting harder and harder to find a good example of this album in good shape. So yeah, and this is Billy Joel's first album. Look at it though. He's got the the porno mustache. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at him. But yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff. You can't go wrong with Billy Joel. So, all right, so that's about the different pressings I want to talk a little bit about. Like I said, Mobile Fidelity, Analog Productions, Rhino, and then there's certain people that are really good at it. Now, the last thing I want to talk a little bit about, a couple more minutes, is the fact that why people collect vinyl. We'll talk a little bit about that. It's like, why does vinyl make such a resurgence in the past couple of years? Is it COVID? Because people have nothing to do? To figure. No, I think the thing about vinyl is that I call it a musical artifact, and that's exactly what the term is I'm using here and what I'm talking about. Yeah, you can get a better quality music. Let's say, let's use the Dark Side of the Moon, perfect example. You can get a better example of Dark Side of the Moon, but you didn't get all those goodies with it, the poster and all these different things, and you physically have a physical connection to the music. Where, yeah, you can get an SACD or you can get a high stream, very clean, best sound quality digital reproduction of this. That's way better. And technically, yeah, if you put like through a computer and the machines and the sound waves, yeah, it sounds better in those digital formats. But to me, I think the big appeal to vinyl and why it's made such a resurgence is because it is a musical artifact and people have a physical connection with the music. Even new bands are using it, even though digital technology reigns supreme. But it does have its limitations. Vinyl is not the end all. It's not like, oh, it's the greatest source medium. It has its problems. A snap, crackle, pop, as we all know. It can be somewhat fragile. Not just as fragile, same as CDs. But even CDs, if you look at CDs, and I remember this because when I had vinyl when I was a kid, obviously, and some of this is my vinyl collection when I was a kid, but then I moved on to cassettes, and then I moved on to CDs. I had CDs for a long time. But why CDs were so popular is they were just mini vinyls. They were just mini discs, mini LPs, and they didn't skip. They were easy to use. Just put them in a drawer. You didn't have to deal with the needle. And they gave you some artwork. Granted, you had to fold it out. It was like a map and shit. But it had some aspects of why vinyl was popular. And that's the reason why. And plus, the medium was pretty good, and it's still around with us today, of course. But vinyl's made a resurgence because of that, and people like it. They like the artwork. It's a strong physical connection to the band, and it is. It's like a library. You have a library here. I guess you have a library on your phone, but it's not the same. It's like, hey, look at my phone. Ooh, and you can, people can touch it and look at it. Who played on this? And you can actually read it sometimes, not going do your phone. So there is that element of connection with the artist and the music, and especially older music too. And in some of the older music, that was the original format in which it was recorded, so it does have a sense of nostalgia and quality. So, all right, so there's my show today on pressings and collecting, and I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next week, and don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you again.